Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Fab and today I'm bringing you a video on a game called This War of Mine, which is definitely going to be on my top 10 games list of 2014. Now this is not a review, it's more like a recommendation. Not everyone will agree with me or my opinion, and that's absolutely fine and valid, but I still wanted to express my views and opinions on this game. 2014 was a very slow year for games releases. There was a huge dry spell of games, and the games that were released were mostly disappointing or letdowns or right down broken at launch. Ubisoft. In fact, I spent most of the year catching up on older titles that I missed from 2012 and 2013. This War of Mine is a game I stumbled across a while back and has since become very popular. The game is available on PC, Linux and Mac, and the game was developed and published by a relatively unknown company called 11-Bit Studios. This game really surprised me. It came out of nowhere and it has a combination of mechanics that I don't really like, and if someone had described this game to me without showing me it, I would have probably said it's not my kind of game. I'm not a fan of permadeath, random generation, item management, resource gathering or roguelike elements in games. All elements which this game has, but somehow the developers managed to blend them together in one cohesive package. So what's the game all about? The game is a point and click survival game. Yes, I know what you're thinking, there are plenty of those around. In this game, you are trapped in a fictional war-torn city and your aim is to survive till the end of the war. You start the game in a dilapidated house, which acts as your shelter, and you get a random selection of about 3 survivors. From time to time, other survivors will turn up asking you for shelter, and it's up to you whether you turn them away or you take them in. Each survivor will have a useful trait and a weakness. Positive traits are those such as running fast, sneaking quietly, large carrying capacity, or very efficient at crafting items without wasting materials. While some of the negative traits include smoking, drinking coffee, both of which are expensive and in short supply, but are needed for morale. Small carry capacity, i.e. you can't scavenge as many materials in one go. Slow movement, or if the character is easily depressed. All these skills need to be considered when building, scavenging and maintaining your shelter. If you fail to take into account which survivor is best suitable for the tasks needed, you'll find characters wasting precious resources, getting depressed or just getting themselves killed. Now your shelter is in a rundown state, so in order to survive the elements and the nightly raids, you'll need to improve it by making it secure and livable. You do this by crafting items. In order to craft items, you need materials. And that's where the resource management comes into play. For example, one of the game's mechanics is your survivor's tiredness level, which means you need a bed for sleep and rest, but in order to build a bed, you need materials such as wood and components. You can get these components by scavenging or trading with other survivors. And this principle applies to other things such as food, medicine and entertainment. And that's the main core of the game. You need to constantly improve your shelter, find resources, feed and protect your survivors by not dying of hunger, cold, sickness or getting shot in the face. The game is divided by a day and night cycle. Most of the day you will spend crafting or improving things in your shelter. At night you can choose one survivor to go out scavenging to different locations in the city in the hopes of finding resources. This has a risk-reward system, as you can scavenge or steal precious resources or trade with other survivors, or you can stumble across a rebel or a thug that will just shoot you in the face. You can also commit questionable acts. Do you steal from other vulnerable survivors in order to get the supplies that you need to survive? Or do you kill someone when they catch you in the act of stealing? All of which will have a moral and psychological consequence on your survivors. The survivors you leave behind will either rest or protect the shelter from break-ins. You can set your survivors to sleep in a bed, or just sleep, or guard, as other survivors will attempt to raid your home and steal your supplies. If you're not well prepared, you may find that your shelter was broken into, your supplies are being taken, and one of your survivors was wounded. In this game, you play as a group of normal civilians. You're not soldiers or combat experts, you're just normal civilians trying to survive day to day in a war-torn city, so death comes very easily. What I really like about this game is the atmosphere. The art style is fantastic and it has a very dark, almost colourless look with a pencil filter effect. There is a very realistic and gritty look to the world. Characters look run down and depressed, and the way they behave, the way they sleep, smoke, carry out normal tasks just adds to the realism. One freaky aspect of the game which I like is the way that the survivor's bio card that's always displayed at the bottom right of the screen blinks every now and again. It's a bit eerie as you're looking at a still image and then all of a sudden it just suddenly blinks. I really like the way the game presents its information and how you interact with the environment. It's always very clear and simplistic, and it's always easy to see what items you can interact with, how much you have of a certain item, and how you can interact with certain items. The sound design is also top notch. Whilst there is no voice spoken dialogue, the music and sound effects convey a sense of gloom and the grittiness of the situation. Everything from sound of footsteps to gunfire to the background music all help immerse you in the game. And again, that surprised me. I'm not the biggest fan of these kind of games, but for some reason I found myself playing hours and hours of this depressing game. So far all my playthroughs have resulted in my survivors always dying, but I found myself starting again and again and trying out different things. One bit of advice I would give anyone who's playing this game for the first time is not to start the game in winter, as there is a big difficulty spike in the game and it becomes much harder when you have to deal with both keeping your survivors warm and fed right at the beginning of the game. I was pleasantly surprised with this game and I really enjoyed my time with it. For such a small title by an unknown developer, it's a game that plays very well, is not that demanding and runs on practically any system. You don't need a monster rig to run this thing. The only issue I came across which won't affect most users is the resolution. The game doesn't support ultra wide screen resolutions. As I'm using a 29-inch ultra wide screen monitor that has an aspect ratio of 21:9, the game displays the resolution at a 16:9 aspect ratio on my monitor, which means I get the black pillar boxes on the sides. Overall, I can't recommend this game enough, and I would definitely recommend that you go and pick out this game and support the developer. You can purchase this game from multiple sites, but when recording, the game was available on Steam and on GOG.com for £14.99 British sterling or $19.99 US, which is a really good price for this game. But for some reason, in the UK we still get shafted and have to pay an extra $3.50 more than those who purchased this game in the US, as $14.99 British sterling equates to $23.50 US. Minor rant aside, I still recommend buying this game at the asking price, or at least give this game a quick look. So that's my recommendation on This War of Mine, which is available on multiple platforms. Let me know what you think in the comments below. My name's been Fab, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and if you like the video, please help support the channel by giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment, share, follow and subscribe to the channel.